Hey everyone, now we're going to continue with lesson 10, painting with the mixer brush, and we're actually going to work on a photograph. Now we're going to use this photograph as our canvas, and we'll add colors and we'll mix them with each other, and we'll mix them with the background color to transform this photo into this painting. You'll want to open up the 10 landscape open file, start file, and then you'll want to immediately rename it to a working file. Now we're going to take a look at some brushes and some brush resets. And you'll see mine might look a little bit different from yours because I have a lot of brushes that I've downloaded from the internet and added to my brush library. But just poke around in yours and you'll see what you have, and you'll soon find that you can add many, many more. You can also create and save your own brush presets. So the brush panel displays a visual sample of the stroke that is created by the various brushes. If you know the name of a brush that you want to use, it can be easier to display these brushes by name. And here you'll see I have both the brush example, the stroke example, and the name. If your brushes panel isn't already open, go ahead and open it, and then just take a look and see how these groups are organized. You can expand your panel to show more of your brushes, and you'll see that there's a lot of brushes loaded here. And if you scroll down, I've got the general brushes folder open, and all of these are in the general brushes, but there's also these other groups of brushes that I've downloaded from the internet: a Christmas collection, dry media brushes, wet media brushes, special effects, so on and so forth. And you can expand each of these to see the brushes that are inside. We're going to load some brush presets that we'll use for painting on our landscape. And this is how you'll use the brush presets that you can download or purchase from another artist. In the brushes panel menu, which is up here, we want to choose import brushes. And then do that. We're going to go ahead and navigate to our lesson 10 folder. Which is in my downloads. And you'll see there is a landscape brushes group. And it's an ABR file. So I'll click this and I'll select either open or load. Now, this set of brushes appears at the bottom of the brushes panel list. Let's expand it so that we can see the brushes that are inside of that folder. And sometimes you'll see there's not only a stroke preview and a name, but also a color swatch. And that's because you can save a color as part of a brush preset. Now we're going to create and save a variation on a brush preset that already exists in this landscape brush group that we just imported. We'll select the mixer brush. Then inside the CIB landscape brushes group in the brushes panel, you want to select the round fan brush, which is the first one. We'll use this brush preset as the starting point for the custom preset that we're going to create. Now we'll change some of the the settings in the brush settings panel. So let's go ahead and open up the brush settings panel by clicking on the icon over here. And we're going to change the size to 36 pixels, a little bit larger. We're going to make sure that the shape is a round fan. The bristles we're going to put at 35%. The length we'll put at 32%. The thickness at 2%. Sometimes you might find it easier to just type that in. The stiffness at 75%. And the angle at 0, and the spacing at 2%. So, and you can see how, as you type in those, how the brush itself changes. Then we're going to click the foreground color swatch over here in the Tools panel. And we want to choose a medium light blue color. And if you want to go ahead and just type in the RGB values for this, we'll put 86 for red and 201 for green, and then 252 for blue. That kind of gives us the light blue color. We'll say okay to that. Up here in the option bar, we want to make this a dry brush. And now that we've set this up, we're going to save it as a brush preset. So over in the brush preset panel menu, you'll choose new brush preset. And we're going to call this the sky brush. We want to make sure that all of the options here are selected. We want to include color, we want to capture the brush size, and we want to include the tool settings, and then click OK. And you'll see that the sky brush is saved in the CIB Landscape Brushes group. And you can reorganize this. It was saved here because it was based on a brush preset, but you can drag and drop presets into preset groups within the brushes panel and organize them any way you like. You can create a brush preset group by clicking the new group icon at the bottom, and then you can change the order of the panel list and organize preset groups into subgroups. So as you get going with brushes, you can really customize this area. Now, using this brush that we just created, we're going to go ahead and paint the sky. And presets are saved on the system, so they're not unique to just this image. You can save them whenever you work on, you can use them whenever you work on any image. Let's go ahead and start painting across the sky, and we'll move in close to the trees. And because we're using a dry brush, it's not mixing with anything below. So I'm just going to go up and down. Kind of go close to the trees here. And you can make it kind of sketchy. Go ahead and cover all of your sky. Try to speed things up. Know that painting is kind of memory intensive, so as you do this, it is possible that you'll get a little bit of lag time depending on your own computer, and you can kind of change your brush stroke directions, kind of make this kind of painterly and sketchy, and go pretty close down here. We're using a dry brush, there's not any mixing going on. Now let's select the clouds brush. And we want to use this brush as a preset, so we're going to scrub diagonally in the upper right corner of the sky. And this is a wet brush, so this is going to blend the two colors with the background colors. The color of the brush, color that we previously applied, and the background. We'll just use this to kind of add some cloud-like effect over here. Just do that until it looks good to you. You can kind of use the end file if you like. And I feel like I'm a little bit of clouds over here. I'm going to add a few more. My cloud's going to have more clouds. My sky's going to have a few more clouds. And we'll move on to the grass and the trees. Now you saw that I have that live tip preview, and if this bothers you, which it tends to kind of bother me, you can toggle this off by clicking the toggle live brush. So it should be, okay, so yeah, when I had it on the sky, I can toggle that off just by clicking the icon. You see that it didn't even show up with the clouds brush, but sometimes they don't have the live tip preview. So just know that you can turn that off. I find it distracting. Now let's choose the green grass highlight brush, and let's paint some short vertical strokes over the darker grass areas so that they become bright green. So it looks like they've done this all over here. And I don't think I'm going to do this whole thing. I'll just do a little bit of each. But you can see how this is starting to change it. So it's a lot more painterly looking. And you can zoom in to different areas. And you can always go back over here to the end and see how they've worked with that. So a lot of, just really fill that in and get painterly with it. Now let's select the foreground tree brush. And paint over some darker areas of this tree. This is a wet brush, so it's blending colors. So you can see that you'll get lighter and darker areas. And they're blending colors together. Again, I won't do all this, but just to give you an idea. And I'm just doing short strokes. I encourage you to experiment with different, types of strokes, different angles. You get light areas and dark areas. Okay. We'll go ahead and color all that in. Do the smaller trees over on the right-hand side. And then you can select the tree highlight brush and paint some of the lighter areas of the trees. That's going to pick up some lighter colors. Maybe start to give you some variation. I'll show you how those work in conjunction with the darker areas. And nice because it starts to give you some dimension then. You can do that all the same with, they're all wet brushes, so they're going to blend. Now I can move down here to the brown grass. And there is a foreground, or the brown grass brush. So I want to paint these for, to kind of turn them into, so they look like a field. Just do up and down strokes. Oops. Do that, it's okay. And this is a wet brush, so it's blending. I'll just do this little section down here. And then there's a foreground brush. And you can see the color of that. And this kind of is a more diagonal look, and it will blend these together. So you go back. It's down here so you can see how that works. Foreground, and you can click and drag and do some blending there. Fill these things in. You can go layer, you know, and you can move backwards in your history panel if you don't like something that you did. I'll go ahead and put this on screen so you can kind of see the idea. And go ahead, make your own masterpiece. If you want to try this on one of your own photographs, I encourage you to experiment away with the mixer brush and enjoy making painterly creations from photographs. Thanks for watching.